Roll call. Cassandra, please.
Halfway,
Here.
Legisltors,
Here.
Burns,
Here.
Gilbert,
Here.
Chartrand,
Here.
Morahan,
Here.
Kolzer,
Here.
Osborne,
Here.
King,
Here.
Dahlhoff.
Here. Please stand for the invitation on the pledge. As we gather here tonight, amid a time of worry and fright of an unseen enemy, please give us the guidance to prevail and achieve the best possible course for our community. Amen.
Amen.
Please apply for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The 7/7/2020 board meeting minutes have been distributed. If there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 6. Cassandra?
The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
Someone like to make that motion? Ron, second by Greg. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Privilege of the floor. At this point, we need to open a public hearing on the Micro Enterprise Grant Program, New York State CDBG grant project number 636ME181-18. Concurrently, a public hearing on a local law regulating and permitting special events on county roads, trails, or other county property. So we'll take them in order. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on the Micro Enterprise Grant Program?
I'll give a brief overview. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to read through a brief overview and history of this program, the current successes, and the anticipated successes of this program. In July of 2018, Lewis County applied for $200,000 in funding through the Community Development Block Grant Program for the Lewis County Micro Enterprise Grant Program and was awarded the grant on December 18, 2018. The first public hearing was held on July 3, 2018 in preparation for the application, and a second public hearing is being held today to provide the public with the opportunity to offer any comments on the accomplishments of the grant. The CDBG program requires two public hearings. The Lewis County IDA was contracted with the county as a subrecipient of this grant and is the program and grant administrator. $170,000 is used for grants and $30,000 is used for program delivery and grant administration. The primary goal of this program is to provide grants to eligible micro-enterprises, emerging and existing businesses that want to locate or expand within Lewis County. Grant awards range from $5,000 to $35,000 and can be used to purchase inventory, machinery, equipment, furniture, fixtures, or working capital for their newer expanding businesses. In our application, we included specific business priorities for grant awards, which include dairy and value-added processing, tourism-based businesses, and businesses looking to locate within a downtown. We do, however, review any and all business applications. In order to qualify for this grant, businesses must meet the following criteria. They must be a for-profit business that has 5 or fewer employees, including the owner. The owner must meet low to moderate income guidelines or will create at least one full-time job to be made available to a low to moderate income individual. Grants may not exceed 90% of project costs. A minimum of 10% owner equity must be contributed, and the owner must complete the Watertown Small Business Development Center entrepreneurial training course. All grant applications go through an extensive internal review process before all awards are given, and all grants are awarded on a reimbursement basis. The Lewis County Micro Enterprise Grant Program is currently in mid-program, and we're working with current awardees and future applicants to disperse the funds by the end of the year. So far, we have awarded 4 grants to 4 Lewis County businesses with an average grant of approximately $32,000 each for items like value-added food processing equipment, refrigeration, tables and chairs, kitchen equipment, and even the creation of a cell phone app to assist with customer ordering of products. These businesses are located throughout the county, including the town of Bremen, the town of Osceola, the town of Turin, and the village of Lyons Falls. These specific projects will work to provide 5 new jobs to be made available to low to moderate income individuals in Lewis County. We are anticipating 2 to 3 more applications within the next month for new and expanding businesses, which will help us to reach our goal that we stated in our original application to create 7 new full-time jobs from this program. I will say that one of the greatest parts of this program is that it is a grant and businesses don't have to repay back these funds. But some of the biggest struggles we've had is actually finding the businesses that do meet that criteria because it is so specific. So, for example, we've had a couple of businesses, just single owner, no employees. They make $1,000 more than what the New York State low to moderate income guideline is, which means they're not eligible for that program. And also, a lot of the state reporting that we have to go through takes a lot of time, and with the staff transitions that we've had in our office, it's been kind of a struggle over the past year. But overall, it's been a great program for the Lewis County businesses that have qualified, and we look forward to continuing our work within this program and throughout the rest of the year to meet our goals. So at this point, I'll open it up to any questions or comments.
Thank you, Brittany. Anyone have any questions or comments on that program? We'll leave it open for a few minutes in case someone has a thought. Then we'll move on to public hearing on local law regulating and permitting special events on county roads, trails, or other county property. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on that? We'll leave that open also, and move on to, is there anyone here that would like privilege of the floor for any other issues or topics?
Point of personal privilege, sir. Reverend David Mahaly. I'd like to start by reading something into the record. 10 NYCRR subpart 66-3 is intended to codify and assist in the enforcement of existing executive orders mandating face coverings in public. Businesses and operators, building operators and owners must deny entry and or remove any person who fails to comply with face covering requirements. I must say I was quite dismayed when I entered the county courthouse this morning. There were probably at least 20 or 30 individuals who did not wear a mask and who were in various offices walking around. The bulk of them were members of law enforcement. 3 quick insights that I've been able to ascertain over the last month. The first is in regard to the health of the citizens of Lewis County. After 2 lengthy discussions with the State Department of Health, both staff people made it very clear that if this county continues to allow unlawful gatherings, that they could guarantee us that there would be a spread of the virus in this county. As one staff person put it to me quite bluntly, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. They also pointed to the recent incident in Jefferson County, in which in 1 week after one illegal gathering, 26 people developed the virus, and businesses in Canton decided to close voluntarily as a result of the spread. I think it is imperative that we begin to enforce the law that says no illegal gatherings should take place under any circumstance. The second insight has to do with the rule of law. In my opinion, there is no rule of law in Lewis County, and certainly no equal justice under the law. The sheriff had a very interesting interview in the Times, at which time he clarified that he had a puny budget and was understaffed to deal with the rampant crime in Lewis County. I did some research. There are approximately 27,000 people in Lewis County with 3 law enforcement agencies. But Friday, I was able to breathe a sigh of relief, for in walking uptown to the post office, I saw a sheriff's car parked in front of the firehouse for the sole purpose of issuing tickets. Now, given the puny resources and understaffing the sheriff has, I was relieved that he felt the need to issue tickets in Lowville, where we already have a law enforcement agency. The sheriff of Bloom County recently made the statement that he considers New York State the wild, wild west. What he failed to address was the sad fact that certain elected officials in law enforcement and an occasional line officer wears a black hat. And until such time as law enforcement is willing to address the violations of law within their own ranks, the tensions in this country as a result of what happened in Minneapolis will certainly continue, and the sad fact is that those line officers who every day get up, obey their oath of office, believe in the rule of law, and believe in equal justice will suffer because of the black hats in their profession. Lewis County is blessed with a sheriff who wears a black hat. Finally, I had the opportunity to talk with a number of people over the last month. Unfortunately, in all too many cases, I describe the conversation as the wringing of hands. You have before you a resolution tonight, which the clerk will read into the record later on. It will only take one of you with a modicum of courage to submit the resolution for discussion, and then the people will really see which of you believes in the rule of law, which of you believes in equal justice, or whether you approve of the conduct taking place by certain members of law enforcement in this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Mahali. Anyone else here would like privilege of the floor? If not, we'll move on to a recognition ceremony that we are holding tonight on special COVID-19 employees who have gone over and above the call of duty. And I'll start by reading the proclamation, or the introduction to it anyways. On March 15th, our vision for what we had hoped to accomplish this year changed in an instant. Since then, the last 6 months have been a time of change, and for many, a time of difficulty. I want to start by saying how proud I am of our entire community for coming together during these difficult times. Our business community, our churches, our schools, our healthcare system, everyone has contributed to making Lewis County one of the safest communities in New York State thus far. Though we are certainly not out of the woods yet, I think it's appropriate to take a moment to recognize those in our organization and our community who have stepped up to make a difference. First, our county manager will recognize those staff who have gone above and beyond their job duties during the pandemic response. Then we will read a proclamation thanking the businesses and community organizations that have made significant contributions during the COVID-19 response. Ryan, would you like to say a few words from here?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, we are recognizing employees that have gone above and beyond in their service to the community. But before we get to that, I would like to take a moment to thank the chairman and all of the county legislators for your support over the last 6 months. I can't tell you how proud I am of our organization and how we responded. From day one, I felt that our mission, our values were aligned from the top to the bottom, starting, of course, with the Board of Legislators. You have been unwavering in your support of our staff and unwavering in your advocacy for the people of Lewis County. So thank you to the Board of Legislators. Public safety is the most important job of government. In times like these, local government matters the most. During a pandemic, local services matter, local communication matters, and public service really does matter. Almost without exception, every member of the county staff chipped into our disaster response. Some, however, did a little bit more. Every employee we recognize tonight will probably say they were just doing their job, which is true. Showing up during a pandemic is what public servants do. But when you do your job exceptionally well, you deserve to be recognized, and that is what we are here to do tonight. So when we call your name, please come up. Larry's going to have, the chairman will have a certificate for you that has been signed by the chairman of the board and the chairman of our Health and Human Services Committee, the legislator LaChose, and we will recognize everybody on our list here. So we'll start with Buildings and Grounds and Mr. Richard Ross, a cleaner. Throughout COVID, it has been critically important that all of our county facilities remain open and safe for workers and visitors. Rich came in early and was here to wipe down every service in the courthouse, keeping the building clean and safe at all times. No shaking of hands. Our administrative team worked in complete confidence, knowing that our workplace was clean and safe thanks to Rich's diligence and attention to detail. So thank you, Rich. Next, we have Social Services. Lisa Hurley, come on up. In mid-March, the county ordered people to go home to reduce office density as a productive factor for employees. It was a chaotic time trying to determine who had basic infrastructure at home, such as access to the internet, who had equipment, who had space, what about the kids and their spouses. Lisa worked tirelessly getting DSS staff functional to work from home. She had to educate and advocate all at the same time. Imagine the thousands of government employees trying to access a state network that was never designed to have people work from home. Without Lisa's determination, diligence, and ingenuity, DSS would not have continued to provide our mandated services to the community. Thank you to Lisa. Lisa Hessner. Is Lisa Hessner here? There she is. In March, when the governor declared a state of emergency, everything changed and the physical health of the county became paramount. The Lewis County Public Health Department quickly identified the need for additional help and called in retired employees as well as recruited other county departments to assist. Lisa stood up immediately and became the sentinel contact at DSS for public health. She worked with public health to create a call and quarantine system for DSS employees to use, but she also was the first person who called to assist public health and then used what she learned to refine the system and educates DSS staff on the process. Jenny and Lisa had the privilege of working together, and she was on the phone, very worried, with very worried county residents, setting them at ease, defining what was safe to do and what wasn't. She also delivered quarantine orders at a time when we were all hesitant and less educated. Lisa's planning and organizational skills were tested, and they worked. Lewis County has a strong depth of contact tracers available at DSS due to Lisa's hard work. Thank you, Lisa. Also from DSS, Ramona Carpenter. In March, when the state of emergency was declared, OFA, DSS, and the Strong Schools, Strong Community program ramped up the volunteer delivery program in an effort to keep our most vulnerable citizens out of public venues. Mona quickly engaged in taking phone calls, delivering items those people in need, including those in isolation and quarantine for the health department. As time went on, Mona became the point of contact person for the program. She sent referrals to schools, checked in with volunteers, and managed the day-to-day functions on the DSS end. She should be commended for stepping up and stepping out of her title and helping her community when it was needed most. Mona also volunteered to take phone calls, scheduling appointments for the DMP 3 days a week during July. Thank you, Mona. Commissioner Jenny Jones from DSS. Jenny's experience in human services, as well as her familiarity with the Lewis County community, made her an invaluable asset to our COVID response team. Jenny created the volunteer database that delivered meals, supplies, and transportation and PPE to homebound residents of our community. Jenny also coordinated much of our mass collection and distribution effort. She could be found at Public Health assisting with contact tracing. Jenny is always one step ahead of me, and her efforts are greatly appreciated. Thank you, Jenny. From Emergency Management, Jen Marchione. Is Jen here? I didn't see her.
On a much needed vacation.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I'll read quickly Jen's accomplishments. Obviously Emergency Management has been quite busy. Outstanding efforts in record keeping and inventory control, working late nights and weekends to ensure receipt and dissemination of supplies, utilizing her personal vehicle to transport PPE to first responders, building a database to ensure prompt and contact with essential service providers and to propagate ever-changing DOH protocols and information. She worked with the schools and staff and bus drivers to make sure they had all the masks and sanitary supplies that they need to reopen seamlessly. Thank you to Jen. Okay, information technology. This one, I don't know who did what, so I did one for both of you. Doug Nagy and Brandon Bassett from IT. Without a department head, Doug and Brandon stepped up to solve the county's unprecedented IT needs. They never missed a day and were integral in keeping the business of the county moving forward. Even as people were transitioning out of the workplace and into their homes, they set up dozens of Chromebooks, set up Google VPN account for the county, and rewired the boardroom so that it could be used as a makeshift emergency operations center. They set up additional conference call lines, they set up a county Zoom account, and got every legislator on board for virtual meetings, which might be the biggest accomplishment of all. Thank you to Doug and Brandon. Office for the Aging, we have Vicki Meyer. Is Vicki here? There she is. As the Meals Program Coordinator at OFA, Vicki ensured that older residents of Lewis County remained in good hands throughout the quarantine. She coordinated an abrupt transition necessary when 6 congregate meal sites were closed. March through May saw the addition of approximately 125 people to the home delivered meals plan. She rolled up her sleeves and worked at meal sites, assisted with meal delivery, managed volunteers, distributed masks, and worked tirelessly from home solving problems. Thank you, Vicki. Also from OFA, Crystal Collette. In her very first months on the job, Crystal stepped up to the plate to help coordinate various aspects of the county's response. Crystal helped expand our in-home meals program for seniors. She coordinated much of our mass collection and distribution effort. She also assisted Public Health with contact tracing. She also brings a positive energy to our team that just makes everyone smile. So thank you, Crystal. From the planning department, we have Sue Kolzer, Senior Keyboard Specialist. for her dedication to the planning department and willingness to exceed her designated duties throughout this pandemic. From the beginning, she was more than willing to work beyond her 7-hour workday, whether she was in the office or at home, to make sure that all tasks were completed on time. When the situation created less than ideal conditions for much of our department's daily tasks, she strove for nothing less than perfection. With her assistance in grant administration, PPE procurement and management, municipal public meeting coordination, and mobility management, the Lewis County Planning Department was able to fulfill and exceed its mission during the quarantine. Thank you, Sue. From the Treasurer's Department, Tasden Newton, Deputy Treasurer. From the time the county decreased on-site staffing until we reopened the doors for regular business, Tasden was the steady influence for the Treasurer's Department. I do not think she missed a day of work from about midway to mid-March to mid-May. Our department did reduce staffing 50% to maintain social distancing, but Tasden was here to make sure everything that needed to get done got done. It was critical time for the preparation of our annual financial audit and the submission of our New York State AUG report. Tasden was invaluable to the Treasurer's Department in completing the work for those requirements. Thank you, Tasden. Okay, now from Public Health. There's not anybody here from Public Health. First is Marcia Ashline. Marcia is the supervising public health nurse. Marcia has been the lead in case investigation and contact tracing, putting in countless hours, ensuring all cases are thoroughly investigated, all contacts are quarantined, and all affected parties are well educated in the expectations of them during isolation or quarantine. She has been the sounding board for many questions and concerns. Marcia has brought organization, knowledge, and great leadership to this pandemic response. Her dedication and commitment to the quality work has truly made our pandemic response a success. Thank you, Marcia. Next is Joe Austin. Joe is the public health planner. Joe has overseen logistics throughout the response. He has done an excellent job ensuring staff have all that is needed for response activities, including personal protective equipment, testing supplies, computers, and cleaning supplies, just to name a few. His public health emergency preparedness knowledge has proven to be valuable throughout this response, as he has provided a lot of great input to improve our processes. Joe has been a monitoring supervisor throughout this pandemic, overseeing and assigning monitoring duties as well as monitoring himself. Joe has worked many long hours in ensuring his response is smooth. His hard work is greatly appreciated, and he's the Village of Loudville Fire Chief. So thank you, Joe. Kathy Dustin. Kathy is the service coordinator for Early Intervention Program and Children with Special Needs program for public health, which normally wouldn't be doing pandemic response, but during the pandemic, Kathy jumped to the front of the lines and immediately asked, "What can I do to help?" She has been reassigned COVID duties as lead monitor for positive cases and quarantine contacts. Kathy has now implemented balancing both her early intervention world and her COVID world. She works nights and weekends without complaint. She has put her personal life on hold and has prioritized our COVID duties for the greater good of Lewis County. Thank you, Kathy. Stephanie Hauser-Faust. Stephanie is a service coordinator for the Early Intervention Program. She has been working part-time the last few years. When COVID entered our world, she quickly and selflessly put her part-time status aside and agreed to work full-time. She has become a quarantine lead monitor in her new assigned role and maintains daily contact with our positive cases and countless people under quarantine. She selflessly agreed to work nights and weekends without complaint, always going above and beyond. Even when a family member had a significant medical event, Stephanie kept up her workflow. She now balances her early intervention work and her COVID duties without missing a step. Thank you, Stephanie. Becky Kelly. Becky is the Children with Special Needs Program Coordinator at Public Health. Becky has truly embraced the leadership role during this response. She has been a monitoring supervisor from the start. She has trained staff as the guidelines have changed. She has embraced learning all of the intricacies of a new statewide contact tracing computer system and improved many processes that we have moved through this response. Becky has also helped with quarantining and educating individuals who have been exposed to COVID or may have COVID. Becky's eagerness to help right from the start and countless hours she has put into this response are greatly appreciated. Thank you, Becky. Mary Kimbrell. Mary is a public health nurse. She came out of retirement not only to work full-time to assist in COVID response, but she also assumed weekend on-call responsibilities to lighten the load of the other nurses. She has since taken on the responsibility of testing essential employees weekly, as well as testing 2 days a week at the hospital's drive-through clinics. Mary's willingness to help has provided much-needed assistance to the nursing team. Thank you, Mary. Temperance Linedecker. Now I have to thank Temperance specifically because she also is a really good baker, and every time I go over there, I have some say a brownie or something. Temperance is an account clerk at Public Health. She has been willing to fill the gaps when needed, accepting any new duty assigned, whether it was delivering orders to quarantine individuals or monitoring quarantine individuals. Temperance has processed hundreds of employee release form, quarantine letters, as well as handled many phone calls. Temperance has been flexible with the new processes that have changed on a daily basis. She is without a doubt a valued public health team member, and we are blessed to have her. Thank you, Temperance. Lisa Overton. Lisa is a clerk at Public Health. She joined the Public Health team in January this year, just in time to begin She has been the calm voice at the other end of thousands of phone calls during this pandemic. She has patiently answered and filtered multiple lines each day with speed and efficiency. She has tracked and recorded thousands of test results into our online database. Lisa is without a doubt a valued member of our public health team, and we are blessed to have her. Thank you, Lisa. Aislinn Peck. Aislinn has also been on the news a couple times, sticking things up people's noses. Aislinn is a nurse at Public Health. She has worked from day one with the hospital's Call First clinic to ensure tested individuals are appropriately quarantined while awaiting test results. She has also spent hours data entering case information into the state reporting system and worked countless hours, many after hours, conducting case investigations, contact tracing, and quarantines, always with a smile on her face and a skip in her step. Thank you, Anna Plotz. Anna is a public health specialist at Public Health. Anna has stayed up to date with the latest guidance from the Governor's Office and the New York State Department of Health, which at times changed by the day. She has worked with our local businesses to ensure they have the information they need to keep our community safe. She has taken hundreds of phone calls with questions and concerns and responding to each with knowledge and empathy. She has also been an integral part of our quarantine team, providing guidance and education to individuals we are quarantining in the community. Anna's latest responsibilities have included answering the many questions we receive around travel and quarantining the returning of travelers. Anna has graciously worked nights and weekends to accommodate the increased workload and share the burden with other team members. Thank you, Anna. Nikki Redeman. Nikki is the fiscal manager at Public Health. Nikki and her team have been in charge of responder health and safety throughout this pandemic, ensuring all staff took adequate breaks and had enough to eat and drink while working long, strenuous hours. Nikki always sends out words of encouragement and has been a key piece in maintaining the positive morale we have at Public Health. Nikki has also been part of our quarantine team and assisted with training and implementation of new computer system in the midst of a pandemic. Nikki has worked many nights and weekends, and her willingness to help and her flexibility and strong work ethic is noticed and appreciated. Thank you, Nikki. Ellen Scanlon. Ellen is a nurse at Public Health. She has conducted case investigations, contact tracing, and quarantines, all while continuing to educate the community and medical providers on the importance of immunizations and childhood-led testing. She has scheduled many appointments for each program in between fielding calls for COVID, rabies, and everything in between. I don't want to know what's in between COVID and rabies. She has recently participated in COVID testing at the hospital's drive-through clinics and is always willing to work where her skills are needed. Thank you, Ellen. Sarah Thompson. Sarah is an administrative assistant at Public Health. She saw many changes this year and handled it with grace. She switched from a part-time to a full-time schedule at a moment's notice in order to meet the community's need for information during this pandemic. She fielded thousands of phone calls as well as recorded thousands of test results into our online database. Sarah is a valued member of our public health team, and we are lucky to have her. Thank you, Sarah. Mary Ann Bargalik. Mary Ann is a public health nurse. She has conducted case investigations, contact tracing, and quarantines, all while keeping up with rabies reports and other communicable diseases, including coordinating hepatitis A vaccines for residents associated with an outbreak in a neighboring community. She has worked many late hours to ensure all individuals are reached and investigations are completed before she even thinks of shutting down for the day. Thank you, Mary Ann. Angela Waite. Angela is our public health specialist. Angela is also the agency's public information officer. This pandemic has proven just how important that role is. Angela has managed all public health messaging and education that has gone out to community members. She has sent 129 press releases, organized and facilitated 24 Facebook Live sessions, organized and promoted the hashtag I Wear My Mask campaign, I Wear My Mask to Protect campaign, and worked with other community partners around the importance of messaging during this pandemic. Angela has been part of the monitoring team that monitors individuals who are quarantined on a daily basis. She has sacrificed nights and weekends with her family in order to meet the increased demand this pandemic has brought us. Thank you, Angela. Melissa Zaire, another team member that joined right at the right time. Public health. Missy is a senior account clerk and a relatively new employee. She came on board and graciously learned not only her normal duties, but also took on extra COVID response duties. She has assisted with data entry into the New York State database, helped answer phone calls, and has also assisted with monitoring quarantined individuals. She is a valued public health team member, and we are lucky to have her. Thank you, Missy. Now, there's two people that I would like to recognize in an extra special way. The first is our Director of Emergency Management, that is Bob McKenzie. Bob. I don't have anything written for Bob, but I wrote down dedicated because Bob is just unbelievable the way he is always available and dedicated to this county and the first responders here in a way that is truly remarkable. Bob is very professional. He often grounds our team and makes sure that we are following the most up-to-date emergency protocols. Bob is very humble. This is probably not his favorite moment. And Bob is incredibly effective at his job. And he's a wonderful communicator with all of our towns and villages. And the hours that he has put in during this have truly been unbelievable. So thank you, Bob. And the last person that I want to recognize tonight is Ashley Waite, our Director of Public Health. It's hard to even put into words what Ashley has done for this community over the last 6 months. Her intelligence is fierce. She is the one that keeps us grounded in science, but she also is understanding of state politics and understanding of the State Department of Health and understanding that sometimes we have to live in the gray area because that's where we are. She's incredibly effective at her job. I just want to point out this stat. JCC did a survey in April, and this was the question that was sent out to all the residents of the North Country. What is your satisfaction with or confidence in leadership during this pandemic? Federal government and the Trump administration, 50% said they had satisfaction or confidence. New York State government and the Cuomo administration, 60% said they had confidence. The Center for Disease Control, 67% said they had confidence. Jefferson County Public Health, 63%. St. Lawrence County Public Health, 68%. Lewis County Public Health, 75% of our residents said they had satisfaction or confidence in the Lewis County Public Health Department. That is by far the highest that anyone scored. And I think that's become because of Ashley and her leadership. And even though it's not her favorite thing, she got in front of the camera and told the people what they needed to know about public health and how to keep our community safe. And we're very grateful to have her on our team. So thank you, Ashley.
So from the Board of Legislators, I'd like to thank everyone, not only for what you do above the call of duty, but what you do every day to keep this place running as efficiently as it does. So thank you. Okay, back to the public hearings. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on the micro enterprise grant program?
Mr. Chairman, did you want to read that proclamation?
You want to do that first? Okay. So I'll read a second proclamation commending local businesses, organizations, and residents during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas since mid-March 2020, the residents, businesses, public and private organizations, and entities in Lewis County have each taken on the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Lewis County Board of Legislators seeks to take a moment to commend all of our citizens, businesses, and organizations, both public and private, for their sacrifices and concerns for each other, which are demonstrated each and every day of this pandemic. Here are but a handful of examples of individuals and businesses, business goodwill and generosity demonstrated in Lewis County since March 2020. Otis Technology manufactured and graciously donated 27,000 face masks for distribution to Lewis County residents to help protect against the spread of COVID-19. Otis also donated 2,000 COVID-19 test shuttle containers to the Lewis County General Hospital Lab Department and 500 bottles of hand sanitizer to fire and ambulance agencies who serve Lewis County. BOCES manufactured and donated 80 face shields. Northern Federal Credit Union donated 330 surgical masks. And the Lions Club donated 44 KN95 masks, all of which were provided to emergency medical services and first responders in Lewis County. Many selfless residents of Lewis County voluntarily stepped forward when called upon to sew reusable face masks for donation to local agencies for distribution among our most vulnerable population. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, I, Chairman Dahlhoff, do hereby commend our local businesses, public and private organizations, and residents who volunteered their time and resources and continue to work together in all that each can do to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in our communities. The board acknowledges the sacrifices that have been made by so many to protect our residents. We ask that all local businesses, public and private organizations, and residents continue to work together to keep our communities safe and to fight this pandemic. So back to the public hearing on regulating or the micro enterprise grant program. Any comments on that? Are there any comments on a local law regulating and permitting special events on county roads, trails, or other county property? Hearing or seeing nothing, we will close the public hearing on those two public hearings. Presentations of petitions, communications, notices.
Mr. you, Mr. Chairman. The following resolutions were received from Cattaraugus County. A resolution supporting amendment to Electronic Equipment Recycling and Refuse Act, and a resolution opposing Governor Cuomo's Executive Order 202.52 requiring businesses licensed by the State Liquor Authority to serve an alcoholic beverage only if such alcoholic beverage is accompanied by a food item. Fulton County sent a resolution requesting APA to change policy for siting of telecommunications towers. Legislators received correspondence from the following. Brian Patterson of Gregg, New York, voicing his support of the Second Amendment sanctuary law and his concern with the board's inaction. Stephen Fowley of Catskills, New York, regarding Governor Cuomo's Executive Order Number 203, New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, and 2 suggestions to ban unrelated questioning at routine stops and to ban or greatly limit consent searches. Jacqueline Prayshaw, owner of Rusty Peas, voicing her concern about Governor Cuomo's mandates on bars and asking legislators to stand up for small businesses. The following was received from Reverend David Mahaly, Lewis County Board of Legislators. Let it be resolved that other than contractual expenses and obligations, the 2021 Lewis County Sheriff Department's budget shall remain at the same amount as the 2020 Lewis County Sheriff's Department's budget. Let it be further resolved, should the sheriff decide to end services provided for in the budget, the board directs the county manager to remove the funding for those services, including personnel if necessary. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. With respect to Father Mahaly's resolution, I would like to refer that to both the General Services Committee and Finance and Rules Committee for review. Reports of county officers and departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators have received copies of the Treasurer's July report, the July Highway and Solid Waste Department's audit reports, and the minutes of the July Youth Bureau Advisory Board meeting. Real Property Tax Director Candy Aiken and County Treasurer Eric Berkler have filed approved applications for 2020 corrected tax rolls for property owners David H. Sessions and David H. Sessions and Eva Sessions. Brian Mooney submitted the June and July sealer of weights and measures activity reports, which have been placed on file with the clerk of the board. That is all.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Tom, can we start with you with Finance and Rules?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing at this time.
Any questions for Tom? If not, we'll move on to Jerry with General Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have some resolutions in the packet that if anyone's got questions, I'd like to answer. Thank you.
Questions for Jerry? If not, we'll move to Randy, Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think I can add any more to what we already did with regards to the COVID and the employees going above and beyond, and I truly thank you all as well. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for Randy? If not, we'll move to Dick as the board's rep on the hospital board of managers.
Okay, I just got one thing for information. The clinics that we've been going around, as of last week, we had 120 tests performed with 0.
Very nice.
It's going to continue, right, Jerry?
The 0 or the
Yeah, which zero?
Hopefully both.
Thank you, Dick. Gary Cater, our hospital CEO, is here. Did you have anything you'd like to say, Gary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to county manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things here. First, our 2019 audit was received, which I know Eric will talk more about, but I do want to commend our Treasurer's Department for, I guess, 4th time in a row since I've been here. Audit with no findings, material or otherwise, which is pretty remarkable and speaks to our system here in Lewis County for checks and balances. The auditors will be here in August to the Finance and Rules Committee to present the findings, which will be good. Budget 2020, we put that off about a month because We were hoping we would have some better information from the state or federal government. We do not. We have no new information. So we're going to forge ahead anyway. The departments have been sent their budget request forms, and I believe my first budget meeting is tomorrow with the planning department. So we will keep the legislators up to date on that. The situation with federal aid, we've been watching this very closely. There's been calls we have pushed, I believe even with resolutions, for the federal government to act and provide direct support to those local governments in the United States that have seen revenues plummet due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The House, as you remember, passed the HEROES bill, which would have provided $187.5 billion for counties across the United States, which would have been great. However, the Senate passed the HEALS Act, which provides a grand total of $0 for local governments throughout the United States. And they did set aside a small pocket of money for states, but that is only for states, and there's no guarantee that it would filter down to counties, especially we know in New York State it probably would not. So not the best news that we were looking for. We were looking for some federal assistance. In terms of the state budget cuts, the governor has continued to his rhetoric about cutting up to 20% if they are not provided some direct assistance from the federal government. Again, under the HEALS Act that was approved by the Senate, there would be no direct assistance for states, a very small amount. So if we're waiting for a big announcement from the governor about which programs are going to be cut 20% so that we can properly budget, that's not how it's going to work. We're just going to find that our reimbursements are cut a little bit here and a little bit here, and before you know it, we're down 20%. So we are in an environment this year for our budget that is going to make it very difficult to plan for 2021 because there are so many questions, but we will do our best to put together a flexible plan that is responsible and doesn't obviously, waste too much of our savings account. So that's our goal going into the 2021 budget. And hopefully by the time we're here together in September, the federal government will have a reconciled plan for what they're going to do for local governments, because if they really choose to do nothing, there's a wide gap between $187 billion and zero. But if they really choose to do nothing, we will be okay. But there's many county governments across the state that would hurt much more than us. But that would be a very tough situation if the federal government really chooses to come through with nothing. So that's my report.
Any questions for Ryan? Now we'll move on to the county treasurer report. Here.
Thank you, and I've given you a written report. I'll just hit a couple of highlights. I will echo Ryan's comment on our audit. It is definitely good to have that finished and finalized. I think, as Ryan said, it's not unusual to have an unqualified audit, but to have such a clean audit is definitely a great thing for an organization this size. I won't take credit for that. I think it's the staff in the treasurer's office and the systems, as Ryan said, that we have in place really lead to that. Also, as Ryan mentioned, our audit firm EFPR will be here on August 18th to present to you. It's very exciting stuff, but I think it'll be informative. You've got a lot of information in your audit package. I'll be happy to go through that if you'd like in advance, or phone call, whatever. Be happy to spend some time with you on that if you'd like. Also, along with the audit, our state AUD annual filing to New York State is complete, and it is on the Office of the Controller's website, so that's a good step also. Our county property tax auction we have not talked about in a little while, but we are still on hold with that. I think, as we've mentioned in the past, due to the governor's hold on foreclosure proceedings, that has not been able to move through the county court system. We are hoping that we can still do that this year, but it's still uncertain. If possible, we will try to hold that auction potentially in October. If we get later than that, we would likely combine it and move it into next year. And those are the highlights I would give you.
On the tax auction, can the taxpayer pay his taxes and get off that list now that?
Yes, they still can.
Continually.
Yep, they certainly can. We've been actually received, I think, 3 or 4 payments on those parcels in the last 3 or 4 months, so that it's still possible. The fee does go up every month, but they can do that until the day we, literally until right before the auction happens.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Other questions for Eric? If not, we'll move on to the report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $875,374.73 and recommended that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion? Bill, second by Jerry. Any discussion? If not, motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the resolutions, we're going to do as a slate again with the exception of the late resolution in number 199. Are there any other resolutions that someone would like to pull for further discussion?
183 and 184 will also have to be done separately because they're no roll call votes.
Okay, we can start.
All right, I'm going to start with the 183 and 184, and then we'll do the slate, and I'll do 199 and 209 after that. So the first one is auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $875,374.73.
Moved by Ron, second by Jerry. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chartrand,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Morahan,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Kolzer,
Yes.
LaSchultz,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Dahlhoff.
Yes.
Resolution adopting and otherwise treating local law number 5-2020.
Moved by Jerry, second by Tom. Any discussion? Roll call.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Morahan,
Yes.
LaSchultz,
No.
Osborne,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Chartrand,
Yes.
Kolzer,
Yes.
Dahlhoff.
Yes.
Okay, if somebody wants to make a motion for the slate.
Moved by Dick, second by Greg. Any discussion? All in favor of the slate?
Aye.
Opposed? Slate carries.
Okay, and then resolution 199, resolution urging New York State to allow for flexibility in education plans of local school districts for reopening.
Moved by Jerry, second by Randy. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Bill?
Ian, I know you haven't known me very long, but you probably find it as a surprise that I don't currently have any children in school. So I forwarded the resolution to our superintendent up in Harrisville, and he was very appreciative that you took the initiative to do this and heartily endorses this resolution. He wanted me to thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And I definitely appreciate reaching out. And I did want to address one thing I know Dick had asked about, and I appreciate him bringing that to my attention. There was the one line just about providing available resources and expertise. I interpret that to mean providing the same level of resources and expertise that we have to the other taxing jurisdictions in the community. This isn't binding in terms of We still have the power of the purse, we still have our PPE and everything like that, but the county is a stakeholder, and we do have a role to play in assisting the schools with reopening. But I think just speaking, I've spoken with some school administrators and board members and teachers and a lot of parents, and they're very concerned about their plans for September, and I think anything we can do to try to move the needle a little bit will help. So, and I've sent this to Jefferson County as well as some of the legislators, and I know they're interested in doing something similar.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ian.
Resolution 209, resolution appointing Director of Information Technology.
Moved by Bill, second by Greg. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, we do have approved, of course, awaiting your approval. Connor Biolsi is here with us tonight. Connor, if you could step forward, please. Connor is a local guy. He's from Carthage, and his wife is expecting their first child, like any minute now. Connor will be with us starting September 1st, of course, pending your approval.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Other business. Proclamation commemorating Census Week.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation commemorating August 2nd through August 8th as Census Week. Whereas the decennial census is taking place on April 1st, 2020, and for the first time, residents can respond online in 13 languages by phone or mail. And whereas even a 1% undercount can amount to loss of representation and millions of dollars to the community. And whereas census data ensures fair congressional representation in the U.S. House of Representatives and assists in redistricting state and local voting districts. And whereas information collected by the U.S. Census Bureau is confidential and protected by law, and any data related to the census can only be used in aggregate form that does not identify individual respondents. And whereas there is no citizenship question, and completing the census requires answering how many people are staying in a home, the demographics and relationship of those people, and whether a home is owned or rented. And whereas our county uses the census to make data-informed decisions regarding where to locate roads, public transportation, and other facilities, and for making decisions concerning business growth and housing needs. And whereas our county is only at 41% self-response rate, and our goal is to reach 75%, and we believe every single person counts in Lewis County. Now, therefore, I, Lawrence L. Dahlhoff, Chairman of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, encourages every resident to participate in the 2020 census, and do hereby proclaim August 2nd through August 8th, 2020 as Census Week in Lewis County.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, we'd take a minute to go over the numbers.
Sure, I'll be back in a moment.
Don't need the lights.
Yeah.
Normally Terry's the only one licensed to run this.
We see that.
Yeah, it's easy to, getting it down is not the problem, we can't get it back. So, just a quick note, because it is Census Week, and we want to send, you guys back to your districts with some information about how everybody's doing. So we'll start with District 1. Diana, Bill, you guys are at 29.6%. So we need to, go back and talk to those folks and encourage them to improve. Krogan for Bill and Randy at 44%, slightly better. But last, in 2010, guys, we were at over 70%. So we are still significantly behind. New Bremen is leading the pack. Way to go, Randy, or Ian, sorry, with not way to go, Randy. 64%. 64%. Watson, you guys are at 34%. So you have to go back and get those guys going, Andrea. Greg, 26.9%. And I think what you'll notice in our lake communities of Bonaparte and Branningham that we haven't gotten a good seasonal response. That's why those are down, comparatively. So we've got to get those folks that come here, even if they just come for, weekends, they still use our roads and bridges and services, and that's really important that they fill out their census. Lionsdale at 42%, Tom. Jerry, you guys are doing all right now at 47 and 41. Turin is at 36, which is, needs to come up a little. Martinsburg, 42. West Turin, 36. And then the Tug Hill communities really need to step up. 16% for Osceola and 14% for Montague, which again, I think has more to do with the seasonal camps because it shouldn't be that hard to count 130 people. And then Pinckney's at 26%, and Denmark is up at 49, so that's pretty decent. And Harrisburg at 41. So bring it back to your districts and try to encourage people. This week, you'll notice on social media, all of the county social media pages across the board are doing a coordinated effort to push people towards doing the census. We've got events set up in every single town this week where people can come to either the library or fire department parking lot. The census workers will be there in person to help people fill out the census. So we're really trying to push this week, the first week in August, to get these numbers up so that we're fully represented going forward into the next 10 years. So that's what Census Week is all about. And obviously you can see, that we need to pick it up a little bit. So that's it.
Okay, do we have any other business anyone would like to bring up?
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Kudos to Matt and Matt like you.
Sandra picked out the fun.
Anything else? Dick?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.